As far back as 2nd grade, Penny Cigar felt more overweight than her peers. Her upbringing was tough, experiencing harsh abuse from her alcoholic father. Food was where she found comfort, a habit that persisted well into adulthood. Now at 530 pounds, Penny is bedbound, diabetic, and makes frequent visits to the hospital. Her husband, Edgar, cannot work at all because he has to do everything for her. Their only source of income is disability checks. All of this has made parenting their son Liam very difficult, not to mention he's developing unhealthy eating habits. Fearing that he may grow up without a mother, Penny and Edgar begin their trip to Texas to meet with Dr. Now. Paramedics are needed just to bring her into the van, where she'll have to lie down on a mattress for the whole ride. Throughout it, she complains constantly and begs Edgar to stop by a couple drive-thrus. He always obeys, continuing to enable her destructive habits. Once Penny reaches the hospital, Dr. Now discovers she has an 85.7 BMI, more than double what is considered morbid obesity. Also, the oxygen nasal cannula she wears is completely unnecessary. The only possible reason she wears it is for pity. Before she embarks on her weight loss journey, Edgar brings one last soda. For the next month, she can only eat what the staff will give her. Things seem promising at first. She ends up losing more than what's required for the surgery. But after a successful procedure, her true colors show. Penny berates the staff for giving her small meals. She's so accustomed to being in bed that she refuses to get up. Her weight has remained stagnant since the surgery, which is never supposed to happen in the program. Someone, most likely Edgar, must be smuggling junk food. Until she can improve herself, Dr. Now has no choice but to kick her out. Penny comes back to their new Houston apartment and continues her same old routine. A physical therapist stops by to get her up and moving, but she refuses to cooperate. Fast forward 2 months later, Penny has missed every follow-up appointment with Dr. Now. She's adamant that she's making progress, but the scale says otherwise, and Dr. Now is pissed. I wish I could show you Dr. Now's lectures, but copyright's a bitch. But then, after having to miss Liam's kindergarten graduation, Penny starts actually trying. Now she's dieting and practicing getting out of bed. The future looks bright. For a couple months. Then she reverts back to her old ways. A dietitian is called in, but as expected, her advice falls on deaf ears. Penny weighs herself one last time, and it has not changed at all. There's nothing Dr. Now can do to fix her selfish behavior, so Penny decides to leave the program and go back to Maryland. She thinks that without constant pressure, she'll lose the weight naturally. Well, her Where Are They Now episode 1 year later shows she really hasn't changed. She's refused to step on a scale, and has taken up a bizarre new hobby, couponing. Her reasoning is that it saves money better spent on healthy foods, except the family has yet to purchase these healthy foods. Penny also admits that whenever the hospital gave her cereal, she'd use ginger ale or Diet Sprite as milk. That should warrant a ban from every hospital in the country. Dr. Now is way too kind. One of her promises to Liam was to go trick-or-treating with him, but when Halloween arrives, she's barely able to do so. Edgar has to carry her in a wheelchair. Penny appears to be perfectly comfortable with where she's at, even if it'll lead to a premature death. Dolly Martinez's food addiction began as a coping mechanism. Her dad left the family when she was 2, and in school she was placed in special ed classes. Her mother, Stacy, would later come out as lesbian, making Dolly a prime target for bullying. After ultimately dropping out of high school, she tried working at several jobs, but they did not last long. Her poor mobility and hygiene made her undesirable by employers. At age 21, Dolly reached reached her lowest point when both her grandfather and father passed away. She was now homeless and weighed over 400 pounds, but a glimmer of hope would soon come her way. On a dating site, she met a man named Ricky, who was going through very similar struggles. The two quickly married, moved in together, and had a daughter named Trinity. However, neither of them were equipped to raise a child, so the court gave custody to Stacy. Ricky also became very abusive. He'd always berate Dolly and push her to overeat. She'd eventually leave him and move back in with her mother, as well as a friend named Cheyenne. Cheyenne met Dolly online and has since become her full-time caretaker, right down to putting her glasses on every morning. Desperate for a solution, the family drives up to Houston to visit Dr. Now. Dolly constantly begs to stop and use the bathroom, which goes to show how immature she is. At the doctor's office, she's weighed to be 593 pounds, surpassing even her own expectations. Dr. Now proceeds to give her a harsh dose of reality, as well as a plan to make things better. Once home, Stacy throws out all the sugary treats in the house, much to the dismay of her daughter, yet the portion sizes are as big as ever, so nutrition clearly isn't the issue here. Dolly bemoans about how she should have been eased into the diet as opposed to going cold turkey. She doubts if she can sustain it in the long run. By the next appointment, she's down 17 pounds. Not very good. Dr. Now urges Dolly to try harder, but it falls on deaf ears. Her first meal after this is broccoli and cauliflower oozing with cheese, along with ham steaks and a soda. Stacy takes Dolly to the park for exercise, but she just sits down and feeds bread to the ducks, which you're not supposed to do. Idiot. She wishes she could be one of them because they're free to do whatever they want, whereas Dolly is constantly being pressured by Stacy, who wants nothing more than for her daughter to live. Then in an unexpected twist of events, she returns to Ricky's house. She's choosing her abusive ex-husband over accountability. You cannot make this up. After only a few weeks though, things turn sour again. So Dolly runs off to a homeless shelter where she meets a man named Philip. The two instantly fall in love. In fact, they're already considering marriage after only knowing each other for a few weeks. Probably because A, he lets her run wild with junk food, and or B, he's deaf and on disability, meaning she can use him for money. By some miracle, she ends up losing 10 pounds during this time, but the combined 27 isn't even half of what Dr. Now wants. He is not pleased. Under Dr. Now's order, Dolly meets with a therapist to get some sense knocked into her. The counselor believes her biggest flaw is needlessly relying on other people, so he recommends Dolly be more independent. So Dolly learns how to do laundry with Cheyenne and moves into a horribly rundown apartment with Philip. However, they cannot afford rent, even though it's probably like $2 for this place. So the couple gets evicted after only 2 days. At her very last appointment, she's shown to have only lost 13 pounds, marking a total drop of 40. Most patients are expected to have lost 150 by this point. Thus, Dr. Now has given up on her. Time and time again, she was told that her attitude was a detriment to everyone. But instead of confronting her problems, she just ran away from them, which only served to create more problems. Had she actually listened to other people, this story would have gone way differently. Sean Milliken is speculated to have grown up on the autism spectrum. He recalls lashing out at people frequently, sometimes kicking and biting them. His father would escalate these meltdowns further by cornering and yelling at him, whereas his father had anger issues. His mother Renee had eating issues, both of which were passed down to Sean. He ate like there was no tomorrow, and Renee completely enabled it. Every time she went to the store, he would always get a treat. No ifs, ands, or buts. Sean's parents divorced when he was 10, and he felt like the one responsible for it. To cope with the shame, he ate even more. Whenever he got home from school, Renee would still be at work, so he'd raid the fridge and devour whatever he found. In his senior year of high school, he fell down the stairs and injured his leg. From that point forward, he never left bed, meaning he did not graduate. Now at age 26, minutes. Sean's day consists of eating, knitting, and playing video games, all in his own room. Renee does everything for him, never hesitating to give in to his demands. A prime example of this is here. After eating a whole pepperoni pizza by himself, Sean asks for a couple slices of his mother's pizza. Right then and there, she gives him the entire thing. He has sores under his belly that need cleaning, but he's gotten so big that Renee alone can no longer do it, so her friend Kate has to come over and help. Sean is sick of it all. He wants to live a normal life, so with the help of Renee's church friends, they begin their move to Houston. Getting him into the van is very convoluted. He has to get up from the bed with a walker, sit down in his wheelchair, get pushed to the front door, have the walker brought over to here, get out of the wheelchair, step out the door with the walker, get back in the wheelchair, get pushed to the van, and climb into it with some extra support. Now he's set for the 30-hour trip, and I mean the entire trip. He can't get up to use the bathroom, so Renee has to park and clean it up. This video might genuinely be grosser than the Predator videos. After which, she brings him a drumstick to calm him down. They reach Houston, where Dr. Now is waiting like it's the finish line. But Sean is more focused on his Nintendo DS. He has good taste, I'll give him that. While being brought inside, he breaks down crying, so Dr. Now talks to them in the waiting room. When asked if she's ever put him on a diet, Renee says the only one she's ever tried was 2,500 calories a day. That's an average person's regular intake. But for Sean, it might as well be a fast, cause usually he eats 10 times that. With brutal honesty, Dr. Now tells Renee she's killing her son. He leaves for a bit, and while waiting, Sean has another accident. This time it's in public, my god. Renee cleans it up, and they head over to the scale. But Sean is so heavy that he goes over the limit, so they have to weigh him on the bed, which reads 919 pounds. He's by far the heaviest person ever featured. More than any other patient, he needs to follow Dr. Now's plan, but whether or not he will is up to Renee. Renee decides that 800 calories a day is too extreme, so she tries to compromise by only getting him one fast food meal a day. That is still one too many, because at the next appointment, Sean says he feels worse than before. Dr. Now again speaks to him in the waiting room, but this time it's because he can't fit through the hallway. He has gained weight and is now over 1,000 pounds. That makes him one of only 23 people in all of history to ever reach 4 digits. Dr. Now is horrified. Sean is admitted to the hospital under a controlled diet. In just 2 months, things change drastically. He can now use the regular scale and has lost over 250 pounds. Knowing that he's capable of giving up junk food, Dr. Now discharges Sean. For additional help, he's scheduled to meet with a physical therapist and nutritionist. Surprisingly, Renee is creating an exercise schedule despite Sean's protests. Is she actually growing a backbone? Well, when the nutritionist comes over, she admits that instead of an 800 calorie diet, he's been closer to 1,500. Also, he may or may not have had a slice of pizza and a donut this month, so not quite. Under the nutritionist's request, Renee throws out all the unhealthy foods in the kitchen. 1 month later, Sean starts feeling like he's gonna have a heart attack. He is promptly rushed to the hospital, only for them to find out there's nothing going on. Dr. Now believes he faked this to avoid responsibility. It also turns out he's gained 43 pounds, which greatly upsets Dr. Now, so he gets a psychiatrist for both of them to fix their issues. And believe it or not, they actually listen to him. 2 months after this meeting, Sean has lost enough weight for the surgery. Once he's home, he and Renee make a bulletin board for future milestones. The episode ends with him weighing just 548 pounds and continuing to practice his mobility. It seemed like things would only go up from here. Will that continue in his Where Are They Now segments? Let's find out. Renee gets worried about Sean potentially pushing himself too hard, since his leg has started hurting. Then all of a sudden, Sean gets really sick. His body temperature is fluctuating and he feels severe pain. Renee calls 911 to take him to the hospital, where like last time, there's nothing going on. Dr. Now starts to realize just how bad of an influence Renee is. She acts like she knows better than the doctor with decades of experience, but shocker, she doesn't. Sean has gained 7 pounds. Dr. Now separates Sean and Renee for a month and puts him back on a controlled diet. It's hard for him since he's not used to being without his mother for such a long period, but he does obey the diet and lose 60 pounds. However, he's still too big for one regular scale, so to track his weight at home, Renee buys 2 to weigh both sides of him. Does this yield accurate results? Probably not, cause he gains 51 pounds. Renee goes back to the therapist to ask him why Sean's not making progress. He should just pull out a big mirror. But he doesn't do that. He visits Sean at home to try and motivate him a bit more. They agree to push Sean to be more independent, teaching him essential responsibilities. This could not have come at a better time, because a couple months later, Renee would be hospitalized for stomach swelling, leaving Sean by himself. He still can't leave the house yet, so one of Dr. Now's assistants is helping him with groceries and such. Although times are tough, he's trying his best to stick to his goals. But Renee's condition continues to worsen, and eventually she'd pass away due to kidney failure. Sean's full-time caretaker of 27 years is now gone. His father is too busy to take the job, so Sean has no choice but to live on his own. It's not easy for him at the moment, and because of that, he's gained 30 pounds. Without a job, Sean cannot afford his current apartment, or really anything for that matter, so his plan is to move into a cheaper studio apartment, use his savings on however many months of rent he can afford, lose the weight in that time, then have Dr. Now house him in a care facility. His current place is so messy that even with the help of his father, neighbor, and a moving company, it takes days to pack everything. Once he's finally in his new apartment, his boxes have sat there unopened for a whole month. Sean has so much stuff that he doesn't know where to put it all. He's still got a lot to learn, especially since he's been eating nothing but turkey sandwiches. Through them, he gained 75 pounds and develops gallstones. Sean has surgery to get rid of the gallstones, but while he recovers, another tragedy takes place. Hurricane Harvey has hit the state of Texas, and in its path was his apartment. The flood damages most of his belongings beyond repair, including items that remind him of his mother. But luckily, the community is willing to help. His apartment cancels rent for a few months and temporarily moves him to a safe unit. Volunteers from a church help him recover anything salvageable, and a local mattress store donates furniture. These kind acts give Sean a bit of hope, and once he gets his stuff back, he actually arranges it properly. But as for food, he's exclusively been getting pizza delivered, which is both very costly and very unhealthy. Sean's also developed rashes due to not bathing, so his PCA comes over to take care of them. Over the next 2 months, they get worse, so Dr. Now asks to take a look at them. The rashes are infected, and to top it off, he's gained weight. He stays in the hospital under another controlled diet, and by the time he's healed, he's down 147 pounds. But once out, he falls behind yet again. Ever since Renee died, Sean's just never been able to get over his dejection. He has so little confidence that he did well that he skips an appointment. He's hospitalized again after a fall, where it's discovered that his previous infection has come back. In a last-ditch effort to save his life, Dr. Now sends Sean to physical therapy. Not only is he on a controlled diet, but he'll be getting some activity and meeting with his psychologist. This marginally improves his chances of survival. By the end of the stay, he's even able to shower on his own. To make 100% sure he doesn't undo it again, Dr. Now sends Sean's care assistant, dietitian, and psychologist to meet with him regularly. But even with all of that, he still can't resist his cravings. So he's admitted back into physical therapy, this time for a more indefinite period. Ultimately, Sean concedes that he cannot do this himself and prepares for the worst. Then the episode ends with Dr. Now finding out that Sean Milligan has passed away. TLC made a statement expressing their grief, and viewers of the show gave condolences. It's clear throughout the episode that Sean was still mentally a child. He should not have been left out on his own to deal with adult responsibilities. A group home would have been much more appropriate. That way, he'd probably have gotten a much better caretaker. James King grew up rarely seeing his mother. She was a heavy drinker, so his father, Don Sr., left her early on. Despite this, his life starting out seemed pretty normal. He got along with his older brother, and his weight wasn't too out of control. Then Don married a new woman named Lolita, who had 4 kids of her own. The now 7-person household struggled to make ends meet, but no one felt more uncertain than James. He developed a FOMO mindset around food. If it was available, he had to have it. His weight skyrocketed as a result of this. At 15, he reconnected with his mother, but not long after, she died of liver cancer. As if that wasn't enough, during her funeral proceedings, the family's house burned down. Both of these events broke James and spiraled his eating habits even further. 5 years later, he would meet Lisa, a mother of 4 with an abusive husband. She'd start cheating on him in favor of James, having 2 more children named Austin and Bailey. James wasn't involved much with his kids, since Lisa still had yet to divorce. Occasionally he'd go on fishing trips and buggy rides, but this didn't offset his continual weight gain. Even after Lisa finally left her husband, giving him more of a reason to improve himself, he failed to do so. When James was 42, he fell and injured his ankle. By then he was so big that the fire department had to carry him to his bed. That was where he'd remain from this point forward, relying on his family for everything. Even his daughter had to be pulled out of school to help him. His legs are horrendously infected, so I went through and blurred them for your viewing pleasure. It should go without saying that James is an utter monstrosity. There's only one person who even has a chance at saving him. Good old Dr. Now, whom he calls over Skype. Wow, is this episode old? They'll have to move to Houston for the program, but nobody in the house is working, so a trip all the way from Kentucky just isn't affordable. Their health insurance won't get them an ambulance, not even with a doctor's note saying that James's life is on the line. They try a GoFundMe with a $20K goal, but weeks go by without a single donation, so they get the local news to report on it, netting them a total of $300. Still nowhere near enough. James is ready to give up entirely, until his dad gets sick while visiting. Upon realizing that he can't see him in the hospital, he decides to give it another shot. His new solution is to have the fire department bring him to Lisa's van, but they measure him and see that he's too big to fit. The next idea is to rent a moving van, but it's not safe for them to secure a person in the cargo area. Ultimately, his father takes the fall and remortgages his house to pay for an ambulance. America! Of which is a nightmare to get him into. Though all of this could be worth it if James King gets a second chance at life. Keyword could. He whines and cries throughout the entire trip. Whenever the vehicle hits the slightest bump, it startles him. Really goes to show how sheltered he's been. They reach the clinic, and after another tumultuous carryout, he finally meets Dr. Now in person. Dr. Now's upset to see that James isn't trying at all, and scolds Lisa for enabling him. Much like Sean, James has to be weighed on the bed, which reads 735 pounds. They do some tests, and as expected, his body is barely functioning. So Dr. Now has to put him on a controlled diet for the next month. By the end of it, he's down 80 pounds. He adjusted to the change no problem, so all he has to do is follow it at home and he's set. While James was gone, Lisa found an apartment, and now he gets to see it for the first time. Too bad transporting him is still a hassle. We see James lifting small weights and eating a vegetable dinner. That does look like an improvement, right? Well, a couple days later, he feels a sharp pain in his chest and gets sent to the hospital. There, he admits he had numerous cheat meals. None of them were shown on camera. He's experiencing congestive heart failure, but luckily the doctors stabilized it in time. Surely an experience like this would be a wake-up call. It's now month 6. Lisa's car broke down on the freeway, and it'll be weeks before it's fixed. She can't drive to the store, so they've had to get food delivered to them. The stress of this and his recent health scare is making James want comfort meals. Tonight, all Lisa has is fish and chicken, but James has had it for several nights in a row and is sick of it. He wants Chinese food, which he's not supposed to have.
But rice is on that paper that we're not supposed to have.
It's fried.
It's still rice.
I'm tired of fish and chicken, Lisa. I'm sick of it.
I'll get my phone and see if we can get it delivered.
My god, she just caves in like that, and he doesn't even say thanks. Then he gets dessert! Ugh! The following month, they're supposed to meet with Dr. Now again, but he decides not to go due to stress. Though he is excited to see him again because...
But I'm excited to show him my progress and get approved for weight loss surgery.
He's that delusional. Lisa yaps about how she's at her wit's end or something like that, but still believes she has to take care of her boyfriend. No, you fucking don't. You're bringing this on yourself. Either leave him or stop killing him! Upon noticing James's absence, Dr. Now drives up to see him at his apartment. Even in the car, he still dons his outfit, which I found pretty funny. James asserts he's lost weight, but Dr. Now isn't so sure. They bring him back to the hospital where he is quickly proven wrong. I cannot even wrap my head around this. Since his last weigh-in, he has gained 150 pounds. That's like a regular person's entire weight. Needless to say, Dr. Now is utterly appalled.
Seriously, you're eating yourself to death and you don't want to quit that. And that's your responsibility. Nobody else is in here. You got yourself in this bed.
Though he's still not ready to give up on him just yet. After another month on a restricted diet, he's sent back home for one last chance. If he doesn't lose 100 pounds by the next visit, he is out of the program. And he fumbles it. James refuses to go back to Kentucky, adamant that this time he'll make a comeback, surely. The episode ends pretty unremarkably. A physical therapist comes over to get him to sit up. On to the Where Are They Now episode. It starts off with a tiny bit of progress. He started exercising again, and Lisa claims to not be enabling him. Dr. Now is called back in, and he actually wasn't lied to for once. Also, the transport into the ambulance goes way smoother. Once he's weighed, it's shown that he only lost 18 pounds. But the fact that he lost weight at all is honestly a miracle. He stays another month at the hospital on their controlled diet. He's done it 3 times now, so why is it so hard for him to do it at home? Back at the apartment, James starts feeling pain in his legs. He's rushed back to the hospital where it's found out that, yep, he's back to gaining weight. Lisa is still overfeeding him, even after they've been told numerous times it's gonna kill him. Never has Dr. Now been this angry. Rightfully so.
I'm sick and tired of wasting my time coming here, bringing all the people working for you, and you do nothing.
The infection in his leg is contained for the time being, but oh my god, Lisa is sneaking food in. What the fuck? She has to be killing him on purpose. There's no other explanation. Once he's discharged, Dr. Now calls social services to investigate Lisa. However, they rule that if James is asking for the food, they can't do anything. Alas, she's still free to feed her boyfriend to death. Already, they're back with another leg infection. Dr. Now's last idea is to separate the two for 5 days, but James refuses. He swears up and down that the food isn't causing the weight gain, whereas Lisa claims his body is physically incapable of burning calories. Dr. Now has had enough. James King is removed from the program once again and discharged from the hospital for the very last time. 2 months after this episode aired, James King died at the age of 49. I can't exactly say I'm mourning this loss. He had every chance in the world to fix his problems. Hell, his ill father went into debt for him to get the opportunity, and it was all for nothing. Though Lisa is just as guilty, and should have definitely been punished for her horrendous negligence. Angela Gutierrez has been obese for almost her entire life. Growing up, her family often had pizza, burgers, and other unhealthy meals for dinner. Barbara, Angela's mother, felt embarrassed by her daughter's weight. As such, the two didn't connect all too well. Right out of high school, Angela moved into her own place and got a car, giving her total freedom over her diet. At age 20, she met her first husband, Jose, and together they had a daughter named Andrea. However, Barbara disapproved of Jose because he was Mexican, further complicating her daughter's feelings of both parties. Over time, the marriage steadily lost momentum, and once Angela had an affair, they were done. Now a single mother, Angela began working as a bartender, where she'd meet a man named Daryl. He'd become her second boyfriend, and together they'd have a son named Christopher, though Angela quickly discovered that he was quite abusive. By the time she was 28, her weight had surpassed the 400-pound mark. Something had to be done about it, so she went in for weight loss surgery and came out 150 pounds lighter. But as soon as she got home, Daryl broke up with her. Regardless, life was great for Angela. Every night she went out partying while a babysitter watched the kids. Through these hangouts, she'd meet her third boyfriend, Eric, though they didn't date for very long. Angela was drinking non-stop. She'd always wake up hungover, and her weight was steadily climbing back up. Then one weekend, a babysitter snitched and called the police, leading to Angela being charged with child endangerment. Barbara did not side with her and promptly gained custody of Andrea, while Christopher was given back to Daryl. Angela was at an all-time low. She felt like she had no will to live. Following an attempt at something drastic, she was sent to a psych ward for a whole month. Afterwards, she checked into rehab for 3 months, then moved in with her mother and daughter. But by this point, Andrea considered Barbara her mother, which made Angela very depressed. Almost immediately, she was back to binge eating and drinking. Later on, Daryl passed away, so she got Chris back and moved out with him. Then her cousin would start making some poor decisions, so that cousin's daughter, Lacey, was put in the care of Angela. That brings us to now. There's not a single day in Angela's life where she doesn't feel pain. She can barely walk thanks to the lymphedema in her legs, and has to shower while seated. Even with these washes though, her hygiene is still terrible. All the clothes she wears are 9XL, which I didn't even think was possible. Very few pairs of pants, shoes, or pieces of underwear will fit her. Also, she cannot drive. Lacey's mother has to come over and take her to school every morning, while Christopher will drive her to the store every now and then. Most of the time, her groceries are delivered. She's everything people are scared of becoming. As such, she's looking to meet with Dr. Now. Unfortunately, nobody in her family will take her. Barbara is too busy. Her aunt and uncle never responded, and Andrea doesn't think her mother can handle such a long ride. As one final Hail Mary, she calls Eric, her ex-boyfriend, to see if he's willing to go. The two speak for the first time in a decade, and he agrees. She ends up really enjoying Eric's company, more than that of her mother or father. The first night, he brings some greasy burgers and fries for dinner, but then in the morning, Angela wakes up feeling worse than usual, and proceeds to blame everything but the food.
I just don't know, or honestly, the bed could have been the way I slept. I didn't even get a good hot shower this morning.
That night, they arrive in Texas and check into another hotel. But uh-oh, their bathroom isn't handicapped, even though it said so on the reservation.
A lot of people think that's minor. It's not. When you're driving this in the van with blankets tucked up under your folds and your mess,
then take the damn blankets off. Luckily, they let them change rooms for free, but Angela's too tired to walk over there herself, so she grabs a swivel chair and uses it as a walker. Neither she nor Eric return it to the old room. Angela says she's scared that Dr. Now won't help her unless she loses weight. Who's gonna tell her It's now morning and today's their appointment. But before that, they stop by Whataburger.
You know, you are a lot older than when we dated, so you really are, like, risk a heart attack now.
You're not one to talk. They get to the clinic where Angela is weighed to be 608 pounds. Given that she's had a surgery before only to gain it all back, Dr. Now is especially skeptical here. He explains that he can't just snap his fingers and make the weight go away. She has to make an effort herself. What do you know? Her worst fear came true. The topic of moving to Houston comes up, and Angela insists she's ready to do so. Then once out of the appointment, she says she doesn't feel like moving so far away. Which is it? Back in Ohio, Angela ends up liking the new diet. There's way more zero-calorie food items than she thought, although Lacey has doubts.
Think I'll be able to do it?
Want to be honest? No.
Now, tell me why. What do you think my biggest setback would be?
Candy.
Could this be a sign? Well, after this exchange, Angela talks about how Lacey needs a mother figure in her life, and it's not worth giving up that for a doctor to show her numbers. What? Earlier she said she was happy to have Dr. Now.
Everything he said is what I needed to hear, plus a little more, and I was really grateful.
Turns out that was a lie, cause next month she misses her follow-up appointment. She's just not ready for Houston yet. Eric wants Angela to move, but apparently her family doesn't. They argue that she's perfectly capable of losing weight here in Ohio. The least she could do is buy a scale and prove it. God, no wonder Ohio's the brain rot state. These people are nonsensical. The following month, she speaks to Dr. Now over Zoom. Her new excuse is that she can't find a good apartment. Believe her, she spent hours looking.
Not that I know what my weight is, but I can now fit in my van. I now go walk.
No footage of that was ever shown, by the way. Just gonna have to take her word for it. Dr. Now schedules a new in-person appointment for the next month. This time, Angela promises, got the hand on the Bible, that she'll travel to Houston for it. She doesn't travel to Houston for it. Okay, to be fair, it's cause she's sick. So sick that she has to go to the ER. Talk about a mythical disease pull. Now she has an actual reason to not go. She makes a speedy recovery and is back home in no time. Dr. Now calls her several times without answer, until finally she gives in and chats, with much of the same bullshit. Then, after 8 months in the program, or lack thereof, Angela finally decides to call it quits. Why didn't she do it sooner? Scratch that, why did she do it in the first place? If she really didn't want to move to Houston, she could have probably found someone much closer. My guess is that she did it just to get on TV. At the end of the episode, she takes Lacey to get ice cream and doesn't even go in with her, just lets her run in unsupervised. By Angela's own admission, she chose Lacey over her own health, but that would soon translate to choosing neither. 4 years after the making of this episode, Angela Gutierrez passed away. The family she claimed was more important now felt immense grief. It could have only been a temporary departure, but instead it ended up being a permanent one. Originally, James King was supposed to be the grand finale. Then I watched this episode. My God. Not even history's greatest literary geniuses could write a story like that of... Lacey Buckingham was never meant to be born at all. She was a result of her mother Eve's birth control failing. Because of this, Lacey was the least loved of the 3 kids, and that greatly damaged her morale. She ate a lot to cope with it, reaching 120 pounds at just 6 years old. Anytime her parents tried to limit it, it would only cause more problems. Lacey's weight brought a lot of school bullying, as well as difficulties making friends, but she did meet one that would end in horror. In 3rd grade, while at that friend's house, his brother took Lacey into the basement and did something unspeakable to her. For the longest time, she was too scared to tell anyone, allowing the perpetrator to get away with it. This trauma would only intensify her eating habits. By the next year, she was over 200 pounds. In college, Lacey went to the doctor with Eve for some menstrual issues. There, she opened up about her awful experience for the first time. time. Her own mother did not believe it, causing a permanent rift in their relationship. Lacey subsequently moved out and started dorming at her school. Now that she had a place to herself, she could go all in on junk food. Once out of college, Lacey got a job in customer service, but quit early on. She grew anxious about being judged for her now 500-pound body. From then on, her days would be spent almost entirely indoors. Then she discovered Feederism. Feederism is an online community where fat women get paid to eat on camera. It's through this that she started making passive income, and later developed relationships with 3 different men. However, none of them translated to genuine romantic interest. Since then, she's left that circle and found a new boyfriend named Ricky. Imagine if it was the same Ricky that dated Dolly. That would be unreal. Ricky met Lacey on a dating app just a month ago, and already the two are in love. Debatably, he's epileptic and possibly autistic, which Lacey uses to her advantage. He's her full-time caretaker, but despite the lengths he's willing to go, she still thinks food is her greatest love in life. Showers are basically the only thing Lacey does herself, and that's only once or twice a week. Every little movement is painful for her, but she'll push through it all if it means going grocery shopping. Neither she nor Ricky can drive, so Ricky's sister Sharon has to come and take them. This woman is a bit on the crazy side, but we'll cross that bridge when we get to it. When Lacey is surrounded by colorful snacks, everything goes away. These very treats have given her diabetes, high blood pressure, and high cholesterol, but those warning signs have not stopped her. In fact, they make sure to pack as many as possible for the trip. As is tradition, Sharon is driving them. Lacey schedules the appointment 2 days from now, since it's supposed to take a little over 31 hours. If we assume sleep takes 8 hours, that gives them only 30 minutes of wiggle room. What about stopping for gas? What about traffic? What if the car breaks down? Suffice to say, she did not think this through, especially since right out of the gate, she's wasting time. Lacey wants to stop by a drive-thru, never mind all the food she brought, more specifically a KFC and A&W hybrid, making her the first person in all of history to ever want A&W. There, she orders 8 extra crispy drumsticks, a large corn dog, large cheese curds, a Papa Burger with extra bacon, mashed potatoes with gravy, and a root beer. For God's sake, at least get a diet soda. Then, come day 2, her breakfast is zebra cakes, cheese puffs, and coffee. Upon hearing of this, Sharon flips her shit.
You need to work on losing weight, and you gotta motivate yourself.
She can see the writing on the wall. Lacey does not want to try. Day 3. They were supposed to meet with Dr. Now today, but they're not even halfway there.
We are so far behind.
She's gonna have to reschedule. Later that day, Sharon lays into the couple about their relationship.
How the do you guys know that you love each other and you only been dating for not even a full month?
I like that he's so outgoing. He's good with kids.
Yeah, my brother's a good man. And you all telling each other y'all love each other?
We do.
And you're my little brother, who is ignorant
Very sweet.
and very gullible to a lot of. So when I see something, I'm gonna speak on it, and you already know how I am.
Okay, this is easily the funniest side character of the whole series. She has 0 filters. Suddenly, Lacey has to go to the bathroom. Badly. So Sharon frantically parks at a Dairy Queen. The fact that I recognize these places makes me feel like I need an episode. But it's too late. She's already gone in her pants. They already had a potty in the form of Sharon's mouth, but I digress.
Bro.
It's rubbing onto Ricky, too.
Your body's saying, hey, give me something healthy.
After what might just be the longest ride out of everyone on the show, they're finally at Dr. Now's office. Sharon doesn't come in with them, unfortunately. We should have gotten a spin-off about her overcoming smoking. Lacey is weighed to be 593 pounds. While a bit less than what she anticipated, that's still crazy high. Dr. Now is amazed by how far they drove, but disappointed with their current lifestyle. Blah blah blah, he gives them the diet diet, she has to follow it, you get the picture. This trip was meant to be a temporary stay, but they're still gonna have to move to Houston, so Sharon has to drive them all the way back home to Washington, then later, drive them back to Houston with their stuff. Lacey and Ricky could have easily moved in with just one trip, but no. Now I see why Sharon is becoming the Joker. Oh, and Lacey doesn't exactly stick to the diet. She still has carbs here and there, excusing it by saying she's going little by little. In terms of exercise, she is going on walks and practicing air squats with Ricky. That's something, I guess. Ricky has also proposed to her, and she said yes. The poor guy is more than likely being manipulated, but everybody in both their families supports the marriage. Apart from Sharon, of course. But whoops, Lacey has missed her online follow-up appointment. Dr. Now had to set up a new one the next month. He's not too ecstatic about Lacey's lack of progress. Right after the meeting, she cooks herself a Hot Pocket. It's now month 5. The couple is almost ready to move to Houston. All they have to do is find the right apartment. Lacey weighed herself at her local clinic and found out she lost 16 pounds, way less than the 50 Dr. Now wanted. According to her, Sharon is starting to wise up to her brother's relationship, but we'll see how things pan out in the car. 1 week later, they're all set up and ready to go. Sharon is a bit talkative as usual, but other than that, things go smoothly the first few days. Obviously now, Lacey knows how long it takes, so she made sure to schedule it correctly. Then, issues pop up, causing them to fall behind schedule. Sharon is not happy.
What if this doctor says, you know what, I'm not around, you're not taking it serious?
I already talked about it.
Oh my, what is wrong with you? Man, grow the up. You 36 years old and you disgracing.
Sharon, can you grow up and stop picking on picking on me all the time?
I ain't picking on you.
You're not perfect either.
I ain't perfect. I never said I was perfect. Not one time did I say I was perfect. I've been doing all the work. You ain't done. Besides,
Okay.
eat and cry. Eat and cry. Eat and cry. Woman,
Sharon,
I'm about to
crying
drop
right
your
now.
off and flip a to go right home and not give two.
Did Vivzy Pop teach this woman English? My god. So despite the issues, they managed to reach Texas on the day of the appointment. Good for them, they managed to catch up. Oh, the Texas-New Mexico border. How close is that to Houston? Oh, fuck. Here we go.
We're not gonna make it. My appointment with Dr. Now is scheduled for this evening.
Well, then don't you think you should get on the phone and tell them that you ain't making it tonight? This is your second time missing this appointment? What was the first time?
The first time was June.
It's like that one movie about that one painter. There is a fuse that's about to be lit.
Why did you miss this first appointment in June?
Missed the first appointment in June because we couldn't get you know, like financial afford plane tickets or something. I don't remember.
Plane tickets are hella cheap right now. You didn't have to tell me you were supposed to go see the doctor then.
Yep, Sharon's crash out does not disappoint. There's not an ounce of mercy from her. She pulls over to the side of the road just to focus on her ran. It's like the drive can wait. This is more important.
Long time ago. Their tickets are cheap as right now. Since what do you do for my brother? You only pay with the brother since April.
Ricky starts to see where Sharon's coming from, and in private, he calmly tells Lacey to stop lying, but that's not good enough for his sister. He cannot be a centrist. It's either Sharon or Lacey. And by the looks of things, Ricky is choosing Sharon. She and Ricky decide to abandon Lacey at the next gas station. Afterwards, Sharon threatens to kill her. Jeez, I'm starting to feel bad for someone who took advantage of a disabled person. Sharon Sharon's just that ruthless. Also, the gas station is close to a McDonald's. That's just too poetic. Lacey calls 911 for help. She tells the police that Sharon is going sicko mode and that Ricky is abusing her. Don't dog on the third party. Nobody gets arrested, but the cops do take her to a safe place. The siblings let Lacey take her bare essentials, like her CPAP machine, but everything else in the trailer is theirs. The next day, she and Ricky meet again to discuss things more amicably, but at this point the relationship is just too far gone, so they break up. All of Lacey's belongings are donated to charity, but she has plot armor. Michelle, an acquaintance from her hometown, is also on a road trip to Houston. Lacey contacts her, the two meet up, and decide they're gonna move in together. That's just way too convenient. There's no way this isn't at least a little bit scripted. They go to Dr. Now, where Lacey finds out she's only lost 12 pounds. That's the least of her worries at the moment, though. Dr. Now decides it's best she put the weight loss on hold. Once she can get this situation under control, she's welcome to try again, but chances are she'll just make excuses like before. The move ends up getting delayed, but back in Washington, her church helped reimburse most of her items. However, plenty of photos were in that trailer, and those are irreplaceable. Lacey was by no means a hero, but goddamn, that's brutal. The crazy part is, Sharon died in 2023, while the morbidly obese Lacey is still kicking. Looks like somebody got the last laugh. It's probably wrong for me to find this entertaining, but that's what TLC is, capitalizing on people's suffering.